Hi, I'm Tory Bruno. I've been a rocket scientist for 40 years, and I got to tell you that every single day has been an adventure. I have gotten the opportunity to do just amazing things. I have slept on a torpedo. I have shot a bullet out of the sky with another bullet. I have stood in the middle of Armageddon with all of its terrifying and awesome power. But I have also sent a spacecraft into orbit around the sun, the fastest human object in the universe, flying directly through the literal atmosphere of the sun. There is no career like a career spent in service to this great nation, service to the awesome cause of exploration, and service to the great calling of human dignity around this planet. And now, on the burn sequence, I'm going to pull that curtain back a little bit and let you look inside. So welcome to our show, and welcome to the burn sequence. Well, I've been thinking a lot lately about the importance of technical leadership, especially in a company like ours with rocket scientists where we develop difficult things, and how important it is to have a person who's a great rocket scientist, a great engineer, but also understands people and how to motivate them, and maybe especially how to motivate that strange animal that is the engineer, because honestly, we're a little bit different. And we have some really wonderful people here who are really good at that, just naturals. And today I have a guest who is just a perfect example of a great technical leader who inspires a team, but can also keep them not just creative, but focused on getting something done at the same time. That is its own talent. And so today we have Amanda Bacchetti, one of our directors in development, who was involved in Vulcan, is now involved in upgrading Vulcan and doing amazing things to the amazing Centaur upper stage. And we're just going to have a fun conversation about all of that. So I have Amanda Bacchetti. She's one of our executives. She's kind of done all sorts of different things in rocketry, been with us about 18 years. She's been a designer for payload accommodations. She has been in systems engineering, of course. She was a big, important part of the Vulcan development program, and now she gets to do Vulcan upgrades. So she's just continuing with that development theme. Amanda, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tori. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Well, this will be fun. So I've got questions for you, but let's kind of start out with, what was it like in Vulcan designing a new heavy class launch vehicle?
It was an amazing experience. I usually liken it was like getting a master's in engineering, production, and operations all at once, which is a good challenge and a lot of learning. I started out leading the payload accommodations team and then worked on the whole upper stage system. So I got to learn a lot. Ironically, when I started the job, I had just come back from maternity leave with my first. And so in my head...
I knew that. I didn't know it was your first.
Yes, it was my first.
Okay.
So I literally was back a week. They opened the job and I applied and got it. So it's a perfect time, to change jobs and careers when you're just coming back. I highly recommend it.
So you'd already had the baby.
Yes, I had
before you joined Vulcan.
Yeah, she was 3 months old, so well under control. Minding all of our
absolutely.
Yeah. But I think because
for people who don't have children, this is irony.
Absolutely. But I think because of that, I think in my head it was almost like raising another child, right? You're like You've got a plan, you're going down a path, you do your design, you build your qual article, and most of the time it works, but sometimes it doesn't. So there's certainly a lot of learning for myself and my team, and getting to the point where we could actually launch it was so incredibly satisfying after spending all that time getting there, breaking, learning, reworking, and getting to a successful point.
That was such an engineer way to describe all of that. For people who are not in our world, everything is a systems engineering problem to a rocket scientist, including babies and children and how you raise them and plan them. And then they have their own ideas.
Yep. Yep, we're at that point in the growth range with our children now. So
yeah. So how old?
6 and almost 9.
6 and 9, great ages. Wow. Yeah. So I had mine like that the first time around on a technology demonstration program, and it was kind of like that. Yeah. So, but say more, I mean, about the first launch. I mean, how did that feel?
Oh man, I was lucky. I didn't have to sit in console. I'd already taken on my upgrades role for a few months. So
Yeah.
I was out on the roof. I know you were out there too. I was very lucky too. My mom actually got to join. And
Oh, that's so cool.
for those who aren't aware, we flew ash capsules on our first flight
Yep.
on the launch vehicle forward adapter, which is one of the parts my team made. And so my dad was actually an ash capsule.
I
on the
didn't know
flight.
that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So huge thing for the whole Otterman family. That's my maiden name. So watching that thing lift off was just, I mean, it was overwhelming. And I've seen several launches, night launches. I have never seen something so bright, and it was only 2 solids. So
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to, getting our first Kuiper 6 solid vehicle.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, it was just astounding and such a great feeling. And I had my paper of my mark events, being an engineer, like you
Yes,
said,
yep.
checking them off, making sure we were hitting everything we expected to in the timeline. And
Yeah, me too. If you glanced at me, you would have seen me looking at my watch. I'm timing it. I've got the bigger ones memorized. And it was beautiful. Beautiful shot.
It was beautiful. It was perfect. Exactly what we were looking for. So couldn't have been happier with that first launch. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, tell us more about what you're doing now.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I moved into doing upgrades as we were just finishing out the first flight. So, in good ULA fashion, we are always trying to make sure we're moving forward. And so I run all of the upgrades programs. So that's a kind of two different things. One is fixed block upgrades. Think of those kind of like, different car model years, right? You have the smaller increments, but every couple of years they come out with the big changes. That's what the block upgrades are. We've actually just finished our first set of block upgrades we're going to be using for the Kuiper program. We call those the LEO optimized upgrades, where we have actually taken the amazing Centaur 5 stage and shortened it a little bit. That allows us to just not carry as much dry mass. We have a variety of different upgrades along those lines, where it's more just improving inline the current vehicle. And then the other half is more focused on capability demonstration and experiments, where we're really bringing forward more of the art of the possible, but we know you can't get it right the first time, so we're trying to incrementally understand capability and mature all those technologies. And so we're trying to be able to fly experiments a couple times a year, do more ground testing, things like that, to be able to bring forward these incremental capabilities.
Yeah, very cool. Different than Atlas. On Atlas, the upgrades or the mods we would do would be P cubed I.
Yeah.
They'd be obsolescence, but we were, the vehicle itself, performance-wise, was pretty static.
Yeah.
So this is different, huh?
It is, yeah. So this first upgrade I mentioned is bringing forward a lot more performance, actually bringing some upgrades to our avionics suite, so more capability of how we can fly the vehicle. And so we're always trying to make sure we're not just keeping the vehicle going, but we're providing improvement along the way.
So, Vulcan was a very traditional, structured development program for a big new vehicle, because we had to come out of the first gate with pretty high level of success.
Yep.
Now we're asking the team to pivot to this incremental improvement, experiments, kind of lean in a little bit, where we see an interesting capability, let's just add it.
Yep.
So that must be different and maybe a little challenging as a leader.
It is. There's a handful of challenges that come with it. The first is, getting the team's mindset pointed that way, right? Yeah. So we've continued to try to just keep focused teams. It's hard to think about doing things differently if you're getting pulled into the daily work of the launch. But part of that is helping our leadership team grow as well, right? Helping them understand it's okay to just stand in front of a whiteboard and brainstorm and come up with some insane ideas, but it eventually will bring you in the right direction. Or healthy devil's advocating and poking at things is a good positive thing. The other piece of it is, we have our recurring team is very focused on launching.
Yeah.
And you're doing something right when you're annoying them. When we come and ask them for experiments and they're like, oh, I really don't want to, but they're always open and they talk about it and we go work it. But it's more that we are making progress and we're ready to go fly something and check things out, and we just have to find the right mission to go fly it on. and kind of getting them to be open as well that we're just putting something on the back of Centaur. Just ignore us. Nothing to see here. But just trying to be creative about how we can go learn and test the vehicle out as incrementally as possible and keep that mindset of pick a thing, go do that one thing, let's learn, and then let's go do the next thing. Let's not do 45 things at once.
Right.
We actually have our first stage in the factory getting some experiments attached to it right now. Making good progress.
You guys have already done some experiments for me, even on the cert flights.
Absolutely.
So now's your chance to be honest, because I asked you guys to do it and I pushed you pretty hard. How'd you feel about that inside the team?
That's a good question. In general, the team was very excited. I think almost too excited, which was good. We sat down and brainstormed and came up with a ton of ideas of things that we can do. Had to narrow it down. That was really the only disappointing thing is I think we had about 15 really good ideas, 5 of which we could do in the time frame that we had. But the whole team between the development team and recurring team really came together because you're asking the team to do an experiment quickly and without impacting our primary success. And so that's a big mantra we really try to push to the team is we're not going to impact anything. We're going to maintain mission success. But when we're done with that, let us go understand what the vehicle can do. And since we've done that, we're actually in the process of continuing doing some of those just general flight experiments on every mission so we can continue to understand the vehicle and improve it and
absolutely
eke every ounce of gas you can out of it.
So I have revealed to the internet that the engine recovery is not the only reuse thing we have cooking, but I haven't told people what it is, and so we're not going to do that here,
right?
Because it's not time yet. But I got to ask you, because I've grabbed it pretty fast, and we've made a baseline decision, and we're moving out. How's the team feel about that?
They love it. So I'll say half the team doesn't know what it is, but they're excited that we have another big development coming towards us. I think they're also excited to see us put our money where our mouth is, right? We have a lot of capability. We're starting to finish up our initial developments. Mm-hmm. They're ready to take on more. And so I think that next item is going to be a really good one. And it's a little different than what we've done before. So it challenges the team, makes them think a little bit outside the box. So I think it's great. We're ready to get going. So you tell us when to go, sir.
All right. We're going to go soon. We're going to go as fast as we can, actually.
Yeah, we're ready.
All right, so now we will shift gears and something you can talk more about. We're back on ACES.
Yes.
So why don't you say a little about that?
Yeah, so ACES is basically a derivation of our current Centaur 5 system with a lot more bells and whistles. So it's taking advantage of the core that is good about Centaur, a pressure stabilized stage. The key to that is the fact that it's incredibly lightweight, very effective mass fraction, still liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen. That gives us a lot of bang for our buck from an impulse and thrust perspective. And so, we're keeping those core mentalities, but then working to improve it to elongate that capability from a duration perspective. So much like any typical stage, it has consumables. So, power from a battery perspective. Mm-hmm. We have pressurization from a helium perspective and control with hydrazine. So, the ACES stage allows us through our systems that we call smart propulsion and some more control systems to take that all off. And by taking that off, you now have a stage that can live as long as you can maintain your hydrogen and oxygen. And so that's why we're doing these experiments. Hydrogen's a little bit complicated. It's a small molecule for those who aren't aware. Yeah. And so maintaining and controlling that for those long duration missions is really, really critical. And so we have some experiments that are going to be supporting that here next year. But the long duration is really the key behind ACES. And so that allows more maneuverability. Any type of space dynamic operation is basically now on the table.
Right.
Multiple spacecraft separations. You essentially don't know what ACES is doing unless you're watching it, quite honestly. So it can be moving, it can be sitting, and then it could go do other things. And
it seems like such an obvious thing to do. The hydrogen is just energy, right? We're storing energy.
We're storing energy.
And, enthalpy and the pressurization helium. And yet here's this gigantic maybe 120,000 pounds of energy in our main
Yep.
propellant. This is about figuring out ways to use that, right?
Exactly. Yep. Using it to repressurize the system, using it to make pico movements. I mean, we can do almost anything with it.
Yeah.
It's all about creativity and harnessing it, to your point. So.
And that IC engine's pretty cool.
It is. That is a great concept. So the IC engine is internal combustion engine, but it doesn't run on gasoline. Again, it's utilizing hydrogen and oxygen to create that power, and also you can use that to repressurize the tank and essentially do whatever you need to do.
All right, we got to shift gears for a minute.
Because
there's something on your bio that's always kind of intrigued me. All right, why'd you go in the Peace Corps?
It's a natural progression after engineering school, isn't it? No. So when I was in middle school, I had a social studies teacher who was in the Peace Corps. And
really?
she did a presentation about it and kind of just stuck in my head, quite honestly. And got to the end of school and was like, well, this seems like the best time to go do it. So I signed up. I was in a tiny string islands out in Vanuatu.
South Pacific.
South Pacific, yep, right between Fiji and Australia.
That's interesting.
At the time, this was a while ago. Let's see, in 2006, everybody's familiar with Google Earth, right? And I remember getting my assignment. I immediately went to Google Earth and I zoomed in, and you couldn't really see the country. Yeah. Now you can. But at the time, it was so granular. I was like, this sounds great.
So Worldview had not had the resolution required at that time.
Yeah, not enough satellites up there. Luckily, we fixed that and helping launch more. You can see it now. So I went out there. I taught math and science. Amazing country. It's a series of 100 islands. The children know a variety of languages, which is interesting. They have their national country language. They both have to learn French and English at some point, and then they have their island language. So it was, quite a challenge.
Kind of trilingual if you're one of them.
Yes.
And how about you? Do you have another language?
I do. So I would say it's rusty at best now. But as part of the training, you learn the national language, which is called Bislama. It's like a pidgin English. And then the island I was on was Fortuna. And they speak, it's not written, it's just Fortunese for the lack of anything better. So I had to learn it auditorily, which is quite a challenge.
Fascinating. Was that hard?
Yes, languages are not my skill. So it was hard. I will say I didn't strategically do it, but when I was on my training island, I adopted a puppy. And, he was a sweet little puppy and he ran around, but he made friends for me. And so... all the little kids love my dog, and they knew if they took good care of them or they listened, they could play with them. And so I would teach them, they would play with the dog. It was a good sharing, but also the same thing with a lot of the adults. They would help me learn the language because they would get to play with the dog. So apparently that was the trick.
That's pretty cool. I used to spend a lot of time in the Kwajalein Atoll, and what I remember most about it, besides being beautiful and the lagoon and everything, is the salt spray. It's so small. And in fact, is a little known piece of trivia. I don't know if we still do it that way, but when I was qualifying sea-based stuff for the Navy, we would do salt spray qualification literally by putting things outside. That's all you had to do.
Yep.
And there'd be salt icicles on them. What was it like there? Was it like that there?
It wasn't like that. Most of the islands, because they're volcanic, they're higher up, so you don't get the salt spray effect. Right.
But what inspired you to want to be involved in rocketry in the first place?
It wasn't a moment for me. It was kind of just a whole long list of my life. So when I was a kid, my father loved to do model rockets. My brother and I always went out and did those. When I was really young, I lived in Indiana, and I can remember, as everybody knows, Indiana has a lot of corn. It's not surprising.
Yes,
and
I've been there. There's a lot of corn.
You've seen a lot of corn. Yeah. And when they, get rid of all the corn in the fall, you have these big, open, massive fields. So we would go launch rockets out there.
Flat as far as you could see.
Exactly. Didn't have to worry about anything.
If your dog runs away, don't worry. You can see him going for a couple days.
You got it. It's like you have been there. So... we used to do that, and I always loved that, and quite honestly, math and science was easy for me. Yeah. And, my parents were great. They always wanted to make sure and push me where I wanted to go, but wanted to make sure that was the right thing for me. So I actually went to space camp as a kid.
Well, very cool.
Yeah, that was an amazing experience. I think that really reaffirmed it for me. And then before I went to college, what was University of Missouri-Rolla, now was the University of, was that the Institute of Technology out there. They do a summer camp. So it was a whole bunch of all of my nerdy friends and I include myself in that nerdiness.
Yeah.
Kind of get to go through a swath of the different technologies and understand what engineering is and what it isn't. And I was in love. I love fixing things, thinking about systems, and so knew that was the direction I wanted to go, and just haven't looked back since. So
awesome. Well, what would you say was the hardest thing you've had to do here?
I think probably the hardest thing is probably the first build here of Vulcan. It takes a while to bring forward a whole new system, and keeping that team really focused and excited about it when things aren't always going as well as you want, I think was really a challenge to keep them focused on the critical things and ignore the rest of it, and give them the confidence that they can get through it in a positive manner, but also giving them those incremental milestones so they see that they're making success. When we were welding up the first tank, there was a lot of learning.
Yes, there was.
As you know, we've brought in a lot of new automated tooling, and because of that took us a little bit longer to get through some of the first steps in those builds. But the minute we did, we celebrated. We celebrated the first F bulkhead we built for Centaur 5. And so, it wasn't a huge celebration, right? It's just thinking and going out to the bar and having a drink, but being there with folks and everybody having a chance to celebrate, or even just if you're all on travel together, trying to make sure you're spending time and giving that reassurance. So I think that was by far the most challenging from a personnel, maybe not the most technically challenging. We have an amazing group of engineers, so I always have confidence on the technical challenges. It's making sure we're not spending too much time doing a science project on it.
Yeah. Well, there's, that's leadership. And
yep.
That's probably when I first noticed you. Because I felt that you did a great job in getting your team focused on all of that, and that you had just natural leadership abilities. I'd sort of forgotten what it's like to transition from production to development, because I've done both, and I've done so many development programs. And when we took our team out of recurring operations, probably 8 years-ish probably, said, okay, we're developing a new rocket, and it was hard for a lot of people.
Yep.
And your leadership helped that team, really engage and get into that. So it also takes a little bit of resiliency to do development, huh? Because not everything goes exactly as planned, does it?
It doesn't. You definitely become more flexible. Mm-hmm. I also think you learn where you need to focus your energy.
Yeah.
Just because something failed doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
Nope.
We've been really trying to help our team think differently on that we celebrate our failures. We went and learned early. It's hard to get your head around that there's a risk timeline. And that's one of the big things we've been really trying to push.
Yeah.
Is that you want to be perfect the day you're launching, but it's okay to break something 3 years, 5 years out. And it's actually better to do it then.
Way better.
And learn. So, yes, significantly better. So we've really been trying to push that. And when something does happen, say, don't worry about it. Let's go figure out what we learned and what to do with it. And then after the fact, let's make sure if we can learn something and not do it again, let's do that too.
That'd be great.
But yeah, exactly. That's a bonus buck.
Learn that lesson once.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, we had an anomaly on the forward dome of that Centaur, didn't we?
We did.
How'd that feel?
That was, like I said, it felt like developing raising a child. So felt like they had just had a major accident, quite honestly. I can remember when my peer gave me a call and let me know that it happened. Actually, when I got off the phone, my husband asked me if there was something wrong with my mom. My voice had dropped. I was clearly upset, and but the team, they handled it amazingly, right? Within seconds, they were working to control everything that they could and taking the right steps to understand what happened, and just very methodically, let's go get get back to it. We know that we can. Let's figure out how to work the issue. So, but you have to take that second and breathe and let it go. And then the next second, you got to get back to it.
Yeah, because we're going to solve it.
We'll solve it.
It'll be okay. We'll get through it.
Exactly. And I think we understand the stage better now. We know more about it. We don't have to wait 5 years to fly it more and figure it out. So
that's right. If we were going to have that failure, we had it in exactly the right place.
Exactly. You had it on the ground in a controlled system.
So I think a lot of people who haven't gotten to do development on these big complex systems, they don't realize how emotionally invested you become.
Yes, I definitely believe that. I know before I moved over to development, as you mentioned, I worked recurring for 10 years. I worked one mission OA6 where we had an anomaly on the RD-180. And so I went from being the mission manager to being the program manager. Yeah. And that was probably really the first time I had true scar tissue, where I knew it was happening during launch. You're watching it. You're looking at mark events, knowing that something's not quite right. We did, for everybody's awareness, we did make the mission successfully, but we had to go work through that anomaly. And it didn't hit me as much as these issues have on development, because I know the vehicle. I know everything about it. It is my baby. I know it felt like it broke its arm. Like it. So it is a very different feeling, because you're spending so much time developing it. It's not just tweaking something for a mission. And that's obviously very important to support the needs out there. But when it takes you 3 to 5 years to do a whole vehicle stage, for example, when you're upgrading it, and versus a handful of months, it's a very different investment of time.
Well, and it's not a 9 to 5 experience,
It's not a 9 to 5 experience. I can find myself regularly on the weekend where something will just pop into my head, and I quickly grab my phone and write it down. And just in the background, you're constantly clicking through. How do you solve the problem? How do we mitigate this issue? What else could we do to do it faster? Right. It's always clicking in your head.
Yeah.
And it's part of your life.
It is such a part of your life. And so on the one hand, it's really hard when something doesn't go well. Yeah. And you have to be calm about it and lead your team through it, like you talked about. Yeah. But on the other hand, there's nothing more rewarding, is there? No,
it is so satisfying when it launches successfully. I will say I am so excited about the first Kuiper Vulcan. That's our first flight of that LEO optimized stage, as we talked about earlier. My kids are tired of hearing about it. I'm like, we're all going out. We're going to watch it launch. It's going to be so exciting. And it will be. And I know my team cannot wait. You really start feeling it when it becomes built. And it's also nerve-wracking. It's, you really start thinking about, did we make the right decision there? Do we do the right, do we do all the right things? And I'll say, you were asking about processes earlier too, is we've changed how we develop, but we haven't necessarily changed how we validate the systems. And so, when we're on the stand ready to go, we've done all the right things from a technical validation perspective. So I can't wait for it to launch, because I have full confidence in it, but I'm still very nervous about it. Knock on wood. Yep. I don't know if that's wood, but we'll go with it.
It's close enough.
Exactly.
Definitely plenty of carbon in there.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, and the other part of it is, the thing you're doing matters. Right. So there's technically challenging work, and all of that's important, and all work has dignity. I believe that. But I spent a lot of time working aerospace programs inside the Silicon Valley, and that's all really cool technology too. But it's not the same as something that is exploring the universe, that people's lives depend on. Just the awareness of how important the work that you're doing is, as well as how hard it is and how invested you are.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely
different for us, isn't it?
It is. It's so different. I mean, we have the launches that we do, between supporting the military with everything that's out there, keeping our borders and the rest of the world safe. I've talked about my kids several times, but they're addicted to anything related to weather. So I appreciate all the JPSS and GOES satellites that we have launched. My daughter, if she was here, she'd tell you all about tsunamis and what to do if one were to happen.
So what do you think? Couple more engineers in
Oh,
there?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think definitely engineers for sure. I mean, I've never seen somebody watch so much about the weather.
Yeah.
But again, all the civil launches that we've done, and of course now that we're going to be launching Kuipers, I mean, beyond just being able to help connect the world in general, right? It's giving areas that don't have internet connection, and it's just such important work, and to be able to feel satisfied at the end of the day every day is just such a great feeling.
This will be life-changing for people around the world.
Yeah.
It really will.
Yeah.
You can do it. You just, you got to brainwash your kids from an early age.
Yep.
I have two. They're both engineers, both rocket scientists.
Yeah, I love that.
So, you just got to be deliberate about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I figure they have no choice. So just
people will ask me, and I'll say, well, it was years of scheming.
There you go. I like that. I'll have to get some notes from you.
Absolutely. Well, so I asked you what the hardest thing was. What was the best thing here?
The best thing. So I could easily lean back on the first flight of Vulcan. I still think that was a highlight for me. But the other highlight that really sticks out, I worked the first West Coast Heavy.
Okay.
NROL 49. And I still have a soft spot for the Delta Heavy. It's a beautiful rocket. I do think there's something to be said about, the rocket's got to look good to function well.
I believe that.
You have to have that. But that was another one where it was a slog getting there.
Yeah.
Having to build up the pad to fly the first time. There was a lot of learning just getting a heavy out there, and but being able to have that go off successfully was amazing as well. I will say I definitely cheated, and I ran out the back door right after it launched so I could see it, crest over. But that was just an amazing experience too. That was much earlier in my career. So that was really the first time I had spent several years working on something. So that was very much a capstone for me as well.
And it's the most metal of all rockets.
Yes, that is true. Far and away.
Far and away. All right, it's time for the lightning round. You ready?
Let's do it.
Did they show you?
No.
Oh, good. So, you saw how it works. It's like an A or B thing. You got to pick one. You can elaborate if you want to, but you don't have to. And we'll just blast through them if you don't.
All right, sounds good.
So first one, Kirk or Spock?
My dad would roll around his grave if I didn't answer this right. Neither. It's Luke Skywalker.
Really? Oh, here we go. All right. You can like both.
I know. Yeah. Maybe I'll like both later.
That's funny. All right. Here's another one because of your Peace Corps thing.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt or JFK?
Ooh, Teddy.
Teddy.
I know JFK started it, but Teddy's the explorer. I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
You got to get on the Teddy bandwagon.
I'm a Teddy fan.
Yeah. See, I knew I liked you.
Yeah, that was my weird COVID thing. So everybody had a weird COVID eccentricity.
Yep.
People would watch like the Tiger King or something.
Yeah, I totally did. That's embarrassing.
Did you? Yeah. My family might have too. But my weird thing was I read all of the Teddy Roosevelt books.
Oh, that had to be very fascinating.
Like all the ones he wrote, all the ones written about him.
Wow.
I got a little carried away.
Are you going to write a book about him now too?
No.
Oh.
But I will go to his library.
Where's that?
I want to say it's where his ranch was. That's North Dakota.
North Dakota, I think, right?
North Dakota.
Yeah.
So they're building it, and maybe we'll both go up there.
Man, let's do it.
Yeah. There must be a university up there, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. All right. Okay, upper stage or booster?
Upper stage.
Upper stage, yeah.
I mean, the booster's really important, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
the upper stage, you can do anything you want with it.
Yes, you can. Yeah, and we are.
Yep.
Commercial or military?
Ooh. I'll go with, I guess I would say both. Initially, if you'd asked me 10 years ago, I'd say military because they're amazing capabilities, but seeing what's coming along with all the commercial assets is just extraordinary as well. So,
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Vulcan or Delta?
I love you, Delta, but I'm going to have to say Vulcan.
Yeah.
It's our future.
ULA or Peace Corps?
Oh. Well, I'll say ULA because I've been here longer. I think the greatest thing about both, though, is you're helping society. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
the same
yeah.
underlying tone of why I like both is I'm able to give back in what I'm doing. So
Okay, this one's not fair. Mark Pillar or Amanda Bacchetti?
well, I have to answer Mark Peller.
Oh,
He's my boss.
yeah, no, you don't. You don't have to ask. So whenever Mark, we'll do like an AI thing, and whenever it detects that Mark is watching the video, we'll just bleep it out.
Perfect. All right, then I'll say Amanda Bacchetti.
All right, very good, very good. Well, we're kind of out of time. Is there any last thing you want to leave us with?
Well, I guess I'll just end with thank you. This is a great opportunity. I love what you're doing with the burn sequence.
Thanks.
We were talking before, I've seen a couple of them and I really enjoy just the variety and getting to hear everybody else's opinions and then your insights as well. So thank you for the opportunity of including me in that as well. So
Well, I appreciate you being so open, and this was really a fun conversation.
yeah, for me as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, so that's all for the burn sequence. Like and subscribe.